This video is one of my favourites to make every single year, looking back at where I thought the season, how it would play out before it all began. Particularly difficult going into a new set of regulations as well. This is going to be funny. Get some water. Let's watch back at my 2022 predictions and see how hilariously wrong I am. I've not watched this back since I made it, but I do remember a few off the top of my head that I'm like, they were pretty wrong.
Let's get into my predictions for the 2022 season. I've held off. I didn't go too soon. I wanted to wait until testing was done, at least Barcelona. I ended up waiting until Bahrain was done. Do I have any more of an idea?
I've actually waited. No, I've waited till testing was done as well, so I've got less of an excuse. I know plenty of people in the past, I've done it as well, where I've done it way before testing, so you've got no idea. I waited till after Bahrain testing, as well as Barcelona. So my excuses are already running out.
And then we'll come back to this video in 10 months time and laugh at how much I bottled it.
Oh look, are we 10 months ago? 8 months ago. 8 months. What was I doing? What was my maths? Obviously forgot the World Cup was on, so they moved the end season date to November.
Who's going to be stone dead last? Combination of poor driver performance relative to the rest of the field and not a great car. I've had to go with Zhou Guanyu.
Zhou Guanyu P20, he actually finished P18, so only 2 off. I would argue that if that Alfa Romeo didn't have a strong start to the season, then Zhou would have been out of sorts. He only got 6 points in the end. He only scored more points than the 2 Williams drivers, and you look at how good Valtteri was doing at the start. That car performance clearly came at the beginning of the year, where Zhou was still very green, very fresh. So it's wrong, but it's not a mile off.
P19, I've put Lance Stroll. Aston Martin actually had
Lance P19. He was actually P15, 18 points. Given the start of the season Aston Martin had, he could have well been down there. But the car moved on, came on leaps and bounds. Lance came good in the end.
Maybe Haas are going to do bits this year. I've put Mick Schumacher, P18.
Ooh.
Did they light up
hang
the
on.
time in spring?
Mick was P16, not P18. I did anticipate they'd improve, maybe not as much as they actually did improve. Mick was also P16, but level on points with Yuki Tsunoda in P17, so I'm pretty close. I'm overly quite happy with how this has started so far. Hang on a minute, editing somewhere here. Why the hell am I happy with these? I was 2 out, 4 out, and 2 out. What is wrong with you? These are terrible already.
Only just over half the entire lappage.
God, look at that. Forget testing. Look at that. AlphaTauri set 679 laps of testing, yet they were the 9th best constructor in the end. Even Williams looked 605 and still miles clear of Haas. Miles clear of Alfa Romeo, and Alfa Romeo had a great start to the year.
P17, I've put Valtteri, but I put in 3 positions higher than
okay, yeah, that's not good. What was Valtteri was P10. 49 points. Look, obviously saved by the car performance at the start of the year, considering how few laps they put in testing, the lack of pedigree from that Sauber Alfa Romeo team, and thinking Zhou was going to be at the back. Yeah, I underestimated him. What can I say?
I would love to see that team back up to the BMW Sauber days when they're Kubica Highfield and they will...
Well, look, Audi have taken over now, so that remains to be seen.
In P16, I'm putting Seb. So I'm putting him clear of Lance for sure. I think he'll have a better season than Lance.
Seb P16. Now again, look, obviously I put Lance P19, so assuming that the Aston Martin would struggle on pace, which again at the start of the season it did. It did develop arguably more than any other car on the grid relative when you look at where they were at the start of the season towards at the end, which is ultimately a good sign.
I would actually say, looking at what we've seen so far, there's not even going to be a midfield. It will be like the top 3 teams and then just everyone else.
Is that fair to say? I kind of would say in a way. I know that obviously Williams weren't getting in the points consistently, Haas weren't, Alfa Romeo weren't at the end of the year, AlphaTauri weren't, but typically you would have at least one driver from all of those teams, even Williams, Alex, the amount of P13s, P12s, 11s he got, knocking on the door for points. I don't think there was a clear established midfield like there has been in, I guess, previous seasons where, you know, especially Williams and Haas have been miles off the back. They were competitive somewhat this year.
And then P15, I'm going with K-Mag. He has returned.
K-Mag P15, no.
He knows. So that transition.
Wrong. He was not P15, he was P13. So, again, not a mile off. Right kind of ballpark area, but K-Mag had some stonking drives throughout the season. Obviously, season opener in Bahrain, which I was about to impendingly witness when I recorded this video.
There's a team that hasn't been mentioned yet, which some of you might be surprised about, and maybe I'm delusional, but I'm going P14, Nicholas Latifi.
Oh,
in
wow.
Williams. Good amount of laps. in testing,
Wow.
especially when you can.
Nicky Latifi, P14. He was almost not even P20. He could have well been P22. Nico Hulkenberg didn't get any points, but had a, P12 finishing result in Saudi Arabia, wasn't it? And then Nick De Vries obviously scoring those points at Monza, replacing Alex. Look, of course, this came from an anticipation, an expectation, an excitement towards the idea of Williams being half semi-decent competitive again, which, once again, they were the worst car on the grid. And anticipating that, Latifi would improve in his third year, he seemed to go backwards. Sorry, Nicky, you can't say I didn't have faith. I tried. I tried to instill some positive vibes, but it didn't come to be.
I'm putting Fernando Alonso, P13, and I'm putting Esteban Ocon, P12.
Well, look, they were one in front of the other, and Esteban was in front of Fernando, technically, on points. I know Fernando had the better season, but Esteban did outscore him, but they were actually P8 and P9, not P12 and P13. So, can I get half a point for that? Look, obviously I didn't anticipate the Alpine would be anywhere near as competitive as it has been this year. It's been the fourth best car as far as I'm concerned. Both of them, especially Fernando, have done really, really good jobs this year. Them two next to each other, in that order, is correct. Just ignore the numbers on screen. You don't ignore the numbers, it's fine.
If we get to halfway through the season and the Alpine is like 6th, 7th quickest car, even there, does Fernando kind of lose that motivation? Does he jump ship early?
He did. He's gone to Aston Martin mid-season. I called it, kind of. Did I?
You've got Oscar Piastri waiting in the wings because by
Oscar Piastri waiting in the wings. Oh dear. Well, yeah, I think that seems to be what Fernando thought. It was, okay, I'll make it easy for you. I'll go to Aston Martin. I think I'm going to hedge my bets long term there. You can have Oscar. But Oscar had other ideas, apparently.
My darling beloved Alex Albon. P11 on his season return.
P11.
Williams. Am I being confident? Yes. Am I being delusional? Probably. Did Williams have
Correct.
the best?
I was both of those things. Yeah, look, P19 for Alex in the end with only 4 points on the board. The amount of times he got into or near the points, I think if you give him a bit more of a competitive package, I think a P11 isn't a mile off. Who's P11 in the end was Ricciardo on 37 points. So, listen, come on. The hardware wasn't quite there. Alex, I thought, had a really good season. And a season that would have merited P11 if Williams had pulled their respective fingers out and delivered a half-decent car. Come on, Williams, please. You can't be mid forever.
The man who was driver coached by him last season, because it wasn't a great year for Yuki Tsunoda last year. But in 2022, I think he'll be markedly better in that AlphaTauri. Yuki Tsunoda, P10, behind his teammate Pierre Gasly. We'll see where I put Pierre. But yeah.
Oh, P10 Yuki, man. He's P17 in the end. Yeah, that AlphaTauri was not a good car. Where I ranked that AlphaTauri package is probably the biggest L of this entire prediction. And look, he did improve this year. Did he improve enough? No. If he had a more competitive car, would he got into the points more? Yes, but inconsistent.
I've not put Pierre Gasly P9, no.
Oh, God.
In P9 is Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo P9.
I can't sit.
P11 in the end. Not quite.
An on-form Norris and an on-form Ricciardo is something special.
It's true. If they're both doing bits, if they're both driving to the top of their, which Lando is at the minute, Daniel just isn't. Simply, it's a shame, and he's lost his seat.
I've not gone Pierre Gasly. I have gone Lando.
I've still not
Norris,
said. Oh my! I've still not said Pierre Gasly. I've put Lando P8. He was P7. I was one of. Just get one right for crying out loud, man. I just want one correct. I've not got any right so far. I mean, this was a pretty safe bet that he was going to be up there with like best of the rest, surely.
I think it'll be tighter, much tighter between them two, but I think Lando will just about have the edge.
It wasn't tighter. What? Lando got 122 points and Daniel got 37. So, wrong again.
In that McLaren. And then that means in P7, I have gone with Pierre Gasly. For me, I think AlphaTauri are going to...
Oh, no, hang on. Carry on. I was about to say something stupid here.
Be a big surprise package this year.
They were.
The third most laps.
They were a surprise package.
Pierre had a little bit of an incident, but...
They were surprisingly bad. Pierre actually finished P14, by the way, with 23 points. If he wanted to finish P7, where Lando did, he'd have had to get 122 points. Many times more points than he actually scored. Like, 5 times more. But yeah, I don't get it. AlphaTauri, how did they drop the bomb so badly? They had a great year last year. They had loads of testing laps this year. They've got the Red Bull Honda powertrain, which is arguably the best powertrain on the grid.
So in P6, I have decided to put a driver that maybe doesn't deserve to be here, but we'll get into that. I've put Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. Now, Sergio is
Check out P6. I mean, he was miles off Max, but that Red Bull car was unreal.
I feel like he's going to be a lot closer to Max this year.
At the start of the year, he was. Like, you take the first kind of few where we qualified Max in Saudi Arabia, like, there's been opportunities, especially at the start of this season, where Sergio looked close to Max, if not on pace. Probably never quicker, really. At times in Monaco, times in Saudi Arabia, yeah, perhaps. But all in all, he was so much closer at the start of the year than he was at the end of the year as well. Like, that car just fell into Max's lap, and once he got fully accustomed and set up, average qualifying deficit in the second half of the season, it's like almost half a second.
It's between two teammates. It's between the Mercedes boys and with P5, I've gone George Russell, P4 Lewis Hamilton. But
oh god, I'm so wrong. Hamilton was 6th, George was 4th. Look, it was really close between these two. I was clearly thinking that way, and I was clearly correct in thinking that way, but I was wrong. I'm not going to get a single one right, am I? Bruv, that bit of hair is so annoying. Look at it. Look at that little bit of it. That's so annoying. I guess when I was editing, I was just like, well, look, the hair's doing what it's doing. There's nothing I can do about it. That's why I'm wearing a hat today.
Top 3 spots remaining. We have 2 Ferrari drivers, 1 Red Bull driver in P3.
In real life, it was 2 Red Bulls and 1 Ferrari.
I'm putting Carlos Sainz. Now, did he outscore Charles Leclerc, Charles Leclerc?
Damn it.
P2 in my prediction is Max Verstappen.
Oh, for God's sake.
The Red Bull. I think Max...
part of me was like, did I actually put Max first? But I didn't. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
In terms of pace, I think he's the quickest driver in Formula 1. But I have faith in the Ferrari master plan. I think
I have faith in the Ferrari master plan. Why? Why did you have faith? Why? Who is this person? This is not me.
He's won races already. He's qualified on pole already numerous times. Yes, you can debate the legality of the engine, but he still got the job done.
The package itself wasn't so much the problem as in the hardware, the car. It's the incompetence of the team. I had faith and that was misplaced. My bad.
I think there'll be very, 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 very little in it. I look forward to seeing 2019 Silverstone.
There should have been fairly little in it, not very. There shouldn't have been as much in it as there was. You know, for Scholl to only just sneak P2 is mad, considering how strong him and Ferrari were at the start of the season.
So that's it. Charles pips Max to the title, and we have a worldie of a 2022 season.
Okay, I mean, what are the biggest mess-ups here? My expectations for AlphaTauri were not met, clearly. And also Williams were nowhere near as good as I thought they would be. Alfa Romeo were a bit better. I did get, you know, Mercedes not being up there with Ferrari and Red Bull, but again, I did this after testing, so yeah, it's not great, is it? And look, this is the thing, right? Everything's wrong. It's all wrong. All of this was wrong. And that's okay, because they're just predictions and opinions, and mine are washed, clearly. Always fun to look back. Also, I kind of prefer my old lighting setup. I'm not going to lie. That was in my old place. I don't really know how to replicate that in this room. And also, I definitely have a better hairline a year ago than I do now, which is quite sad. Hope you enjoyed this one. Drop a like, subscribe as well to the channel. Don't forget, my name's Tommo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.